Ayup Woodlanders, welcome to Woodlog number 3 2025. We're on even more coppice cutting, just the same. Fuel tank number 1. Lunchtime. Afternoon. Tank 3. Home time. Did you know February is Snowdrop Awareness Month? The end of the day, and we've managed to breach the southern defences. Let me show you. So this is our southern boundary, as in where we'll stop for this winter. So these hazels here, I don't think they've been cut before, whereas this side had. And then all we've got to go down to is where that grass starts there. So it's sort of a sweep from there across to the pines, and we are done. In my diary I've got another 3 days allowed for cutting, because I thought I was going to look in at 5 days, and we've done 2. That's today and yesterday, but I don't think we've got another 3 days more cutting. But I don't know about you, that is great news. It just feels just this enormous weight lifted, knowing that you've achieved your goal. The mission was to get this done by the end of February, because Jeff likes me to finish cutting by the end of Feb. Well, today is February the 4th. That's right, February the 4th. So we are well ahead of schedule. So the earliest I'm going to be able to get back to this now is next Monday. But by next Monday, it should be looking good. That's right, bird just caught me eye. I've got a really bad feeling if the rain's come, that means we won't be able to get extract. That means I can't sell my product. And that means I get no money. And that means we don't eat. Which, that's not great. We'll get going. And it could be next week before I see you again. See you all next Monday. Good morning. What a miserable, grim, grey, horrible day it is today. I'm just not feeling it this morning. I'm going to start on these at this edge today. These are the scrawny, smaller bits that have been cut before. And then there's through there's some slightly bigger ones that will finish it off. I can tell I'm not functioning properly this morning. I forgot to bring my fresh can of Aspen, which is the 2-stroke fuel I use. So I've only got possibly 2 tankfuls left. So that was a rookie mistake. It just means that I won't be able to finish this cut today. Instead, what I can do is I've got loads of hedge lane stakes to dress, loads of beanpole type stuff to dress. There's also the marking up to be done, so I've got my marking up spray. Yesterday we was up the woods. I was meant to be here, but it was pouring me rain. I had to take the car to be fixed because it failed its MOT last week. Thankfully they've done it, and so we've got an MOT retest on Thursday. So that was mad yesterday. I managed to do a little bit of planting up the woodland yesterday. Good morning. I bought some plants the other week from Cheviot Trees, some Robinia. We've put in some sessile oak. We've put in some lime, small leaf lime. And now I've got some thuya, which is western red cedar. Not many, there's about 20. They're going in down the bottom end in the bottom corner. After that, I've got 10 swamp cypress to go in as well. Swamp cypress, I can't think what the Latin name is for that. Not taxodium, is it? Taxodium distichum or something like that. Yeah, I'm practicing my Latin now for you. Swamp cypress like the wet in that they can tolerate it. Some trees just don't tolerate wet. But they're a deciduous softwood tree, and I love them. The autumn colours on them are stunning. We've got one that we nearly lost due to a drought about 4 years ago, and that's down this bottom end. But that's doing all right now. I've pruned out the dead because it dried off, and then just below that it gets quite wet, so I'm going to plant the other ones around that area. And I might put a specimen one up here somewhere, because I've got we've got the sequoia, we've got the cedar over there. Just behind it are the thuya. That's another patch I planted a few years ago. So I thought if we can have a swamp cypress up here somewhere. But what they do is quite a fascinating tree. In order to survive sort of swampy conditions a bit like this and worse, the root system sends up nodules, which we haven't got here, but that's what they'll do in extreme conditions. And they'll send up these nodules, and some say that it's almost like a snorkel, where the tree will kind of breathe through these nodules. Anyway, I don't know whether that's strictly true, but it's very fascinating. So if you Google it, I'll put a picture up of a swamp cypress with these root nodules sticking up. It almost looks a bit like coppice, where it's sending up a new shoot, and I don't think it'll send up a new shoot as such. It's just like the roots gasping for air. Cheviot trees have been good. I was tipped off by Murray, so thank you, Murray, for tipping me off to Cheviot trees. I've heard of Cheviot trees before, I think through adverts, and seen them at the APF, and in my mind I thought, oh, they'll be expensive. And I also thought maybe they only do huge plantations. You know, it's great if you want to order 10,000 trees, but if you want to order 30, you've had it. But I was completely wrong, and it's because they do them in cell grown, which is my preference. But the ones they've sent have been fantastic, all cell grown, superb. So a little mention for Cheviot trees. If you're thinking of buying trees, they did an excellent service, all lovely, well boxed, properly packaged, plant passports. I didn't want to order hundreds. I ordered 10, 10, 10, 20 and 10. These were about between £1.80 and £2 something a tree. So we're about £400 for this little planting scheme. And your contributions added up to about 300 and something, I think, so far. So if we do get any more coffees in, I'll just use those to offset this year's planting costs. And if we get any more coffees after that, then we'll put them towards next year's planting, because there's always something to plant up here. There's this little area here. We planted our oak trees the other day, and then I just want to plant this area up here. It did have willow in, and I put the willow in, but the willow was horrible. This is one willow I kept, which is the curly willow, Salix contort, well anyway, whatever it's called, contortuous or something. And they're a weird looking quirky tree, and it always makes me smile when I look at them. So I like that one, and I kept that because the curly wiggly branches can be really good for basket makers and craft uses. So I've propagated those, and I'm going to plant some more at the top end so I can keep my eye on them. So I'm going to put the thuya in down here. I've got 8. We'll put them in this corner, and that's my planting done in this area now for this year. It's a bit dirty because it's got compost on it, but all right then. Got donkey and a goat to come and see me. So it wasn't the most productive day yesterday, but the other thing that's slightly disappointing about the weather today is it's been rainy and grey for about 4 days now. Plans for extraction this week, which were going to be either today or tomorrow or Friday. I don't think that's going to happen now because I'm just going to make a terrible mess. What I want is about -3 for 2 days. It just solidifies the ground that little bit, and that'd be good just to get just 1 day extraction would be great, but there you go. Such is life. Just run out of fuel, and I've got about 5 stools left, I think, just here, so I'm not too concerned. It would have been nice, I could have had them done in a tankful, which is a shame, but there you go. You can't win them all. We're going to have lunch, we'll do a bit of tree marking, and we were talking about the quantities of coming out of here. I was chatting to one of you guys the other day on the sort of YouTube commenty bits about thin-ins. I think it was one where it was like sort of selecting standards and thin-ins and all that kind of video. Why I didn't recommend 50% thin. Which is a good question really, because it's just not my personal recommendation, because taking half of your trees out, it's such a drastic thing to do. I don't want to criticise anybody, but it sort of suggests that there's been maybe a bit of neglect, and it's took till now to... Anyway, there you go, it's just an opinion really rather than a rule. In here, I would say it could well be getting on to be somewhere around about 35-40% thin, and it's simply because of the hazel underneath. Normally you perhaps would thin this at a third, 30 to 35%. And that's quite a drastic thin. I much prefer 25% and do it more regularly, because a lot of these woodlanders, foresters, they'll be like, get in, bish bosh bash, and then, good grief, it looks awful, and then it's don't come back for another 25 years. Well, just something a bit more regular, a bit more routine. And because we'll be back in here in hopefully 6 years time to cut some of the hazel out again, then we can have another thin of the oaks then, and that for me is far better than taking out way too many now. But saying that, there are a lot of oaks in here, and there's barely anything of any kind of opening in the canopy. So here we have hazel on the ground, and if I just pan up there's not really much openings in the canopy, and we want a great big hole up here to be able to let light in. But it's just nice to be able to say we are so close here now. It's amazing. It's looking good. I've got to admit, I do tend to struggle with tree marking. It feels like I'm unnecessarily taking trees out, but it's absolutely necessary. It's a funny situation. It messes with my head a bit. I plant all these trees. I've planted thousands of trees, and it's just a harvesting process. I know that, but I kind of get attached to trees. I think, ooh, maybe if we could just leave it a little bit longer before we have to chop them down. I know it doesn't look like that on the video. It looks like I take great pleasure in hacking everything off. And I feel differently about coppice because I know I'm actually doing the tree or the plant a service by harvesting it, because generally it makes them last longer. Whereas felling pine trees, oak trees and all the others, you're like, can't help thinking, well, it might not grow back, and it's dead now, isn't it? But it's just part of the process. I get my head around it eventually. But the marking up bit is the bit I struggle with. It's like, which one do you select? Why? Why is that one deserving of death more than the next one to it? It's a difficult process. Let me know if you feel the same. Do you struggle with anxiety when it comes to felling or marking up trees? And so basic principle is we get a can of spray and we just bosh it on like that. Nice blue mark. I thought, oh, that's quite a nice colour, that. Do my car in that, couldn't I? I like blue. Okay, that's one anyway. Generally do a couple of 3 marks on them so that from all angles you can see which ones you've marked up. But that tends to apply more so to a proper thinning, whereas this is more about edge thinning around the coppice. Some of them are really easy decision. This one here is a scrawny looking thing because it's got I suppose it's got a single stem, one main leader, which is nice, but this bit here, maybe in 100 years time somebody will think, oh, I wished you'd left that one in. For the sake of the coppice, it has to make its sacrifice. Something about this old gnarly one I want to keep. It's a hopeless tree as a timber tree, but as a quirky thing, I'll see what Jeff thinks. He's welcome to have it out, but I won't mark that one up. It can live for another day. That's all those marked up before any of this can be felled. These stakes, beam poles, weavers, charcoal have either got to be dressed or extracted. So we've got blue dots here, 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 and all around here. I thought I'd come for a walk around some of the bits I've cut before, and this was cut from memory, I think 3 years ago. These are doing really well. I'm saying that other area, that coppice last year, has been eaten off by the muntjac and suffered with possibly the wet winter. This is doing awesome. This is where Jeff's been doing some of his thinning work. Excellent. So this area is where I cut first at Rossiston, which now is 5 winters ago, and this will be cut next winter. I wouldn't say there's a great deal of product in it, looking at some of the state of these bent stems. One can only hope that as you get further in, there might be some slightly better stems in there. But I still think this area, which is my first real experiment with thinning the oaks in amongst an overstood coppice, apart from my own, I think we could get even more of these oaks out, which is that was the goal in the first place anyway. You see this bit's doing better because of the light, you see. It's got open canopy at the top. This bit's done loads better. Yeah, that pheasant. Must be nearly time for roosting now. Doing that tree marking has made me go really cold, so I can feel a hot drink coming on and check the time, and if it's anything near 4 o'clock, I'm at it, I'm going. So I'll see you tomorrow for some dressing and rod extraction. Good morning. Fingers are cold. Just got our last few hazels over in this corner, and if there's anything left in the tank after that, because I will do the tank full and then I've got another tank full I can do, I will have a go at some of these slightly bigger trees that have been marked. We'll perhaps have a couple of them down as well, hopefully. So follow me as we embark on our last few hazel stools. That was good. Managed to get all that lot done without even refilling the tank. Quick tidy up of this stem. It's always a nice feeling when you've just done the last stem in a particular area. It feels, oh, the satisfaction. Hope you feel that. It's daunting when you first start in the autumn and you think, what? And you think to yourself, we're never going to get this done, and just week by week keep tickling away at it. And now we're not even halfway through February and we've got all this area done. And it's difficult to tell on camera, I know that, but way up there, up by them softwoods, which is that dense dark green up there, that's where we started, and we've worked all the way up here. We're happy, I'm happy, you're happy, everyone's happy, hopefully. Probably not an accurate reflection. It is One Word Wednesday after all. My One Word Wednesday for today would be progressive. That's a positive word, isn't it? What's your word for the week? Let me know if you want to. That's took us nicely up to lunchtime. It's amazing how many more still got to come out, but that's created quite a nice little, the start of an opening in the sky. In fact, is that? Oh no, it's not, it's just more grey. I thought that was blue sky then. Anyway, we won't get too distracted. We've got one really messy stack of timber. That is a very bad example of how to have a timber stack. I'm sorry, I should know better than that. I'm not going to be timber tongs with me. And the start of it was the hazel, and that was launched, and then the pine and the oak have now been launched on top, so that's really bad. That's charcoal. That doesn't matter so much, but that's a mess. Nice little inquiry the other day, all to do with bale spikes for a straw bale building. Somebody locally is building some sort of straw bale structure, and they often use hazel as the spikes that help bind each bale together. They'll only be short, so about 14 inches or so, and they'll have a spike on the top then, so that the bale gets pushed onto the individual bale spikes. Quite nice when it's done. Hopefully I'll get a picture. It's now about 20 past 4. We've got 50, 100, 150, 170 stakes there. We've got 60 in the trailer ready for the bale spikes, and we've got plenty more to go at yet. As always, I'm starting to run out of winter with this. Heartwood are going to come in and cut some of the oaks out. Jeff's going to cut some of the oaks out, and I may even be able to do a day or two cutting the oaks out. So between all of us, between now and middle of March, this hopefully should be about done now. So that concludes this particular woodlog. Thanks ever so much for watching this episode. If you're able to, try and get your coppice completed, and I'll see you on the next one.